Are you and I in alignment? That's my question for you today. It's a beautiful day, a rainy day here in Tennessee. My name is Jeremy, and I'm wondering if you and I are in alignment with one another. And I'm going to use this video to find out. There are going to be some polarizing statements in this video. So if you feel negative about any of these statements that come out, please go ahead and click off the video. It's probably just that we're not in alignment. But for some of you, you're going to hear these statements and just want more of it and be like, okay, this is where I'm at. So I tried to make an outline for this video a few different times, and I wanted to put out a video that was just like talking with me. So that's what I'm attempting to do. So let's start at, first of all, seeing the first polarizing statement, which is this is going to be about me, you, and money. Already I've lost some of you. Good. They weren't in alignment. It's okay. This is probably the worst idea of a video to do to grow a YouTube channel. I currently have 7 subscribers, and I appreciate all 7 of them. I've been putting out videos since the beginning of the year. It's now the middle of February. I went out on a lovely date with my wife last night for Valentine's Day. But you, me, and money. It's not the entire crux of this video, but there's something about what's going on that I want to share that I think is going to include those topics. So if that resonates with you, I'm glad. Keep watching. So to tell you a little bit about myself and where I've been, I was born and raised a Christian, and in my household, it was a given that God was real, the Bible was real, Christianity was the way. And to that end, by the time I was 5 years old, I had decided to ask Jesus into my heart. And of course, my mom was very pleased with that and led me in the prayer, and I began my life as a Christian at 5. And God to me was always a given. I loved him, though. I came to love him very much and wanted to please him and be all that I could be as a Christian. And when I was a teenager, I discovered that I could play music, and had always loved music, but discovered that I was a musician and could play multiple instruments. And I started writing songs and was in bands and all of that. This led me to most of my adult life having a music career, or attempting to have a financially stable music career. It was very hard. It typically led to no money or cost me money. But that was my journey. I was a Christian. I was a musician. I did keep a couple positions as a worship leader at churches, and did not like seeing how the sausage was made. I did not want to be behind the scenes. I didn't like being on a church staff, let me tell you. But there was something that happened during that time. In my early 30s was the first time I hired a producer to work on a record with me. And I had made my own records up to that point with my bands. And he asked me a question that now looking back, I realize I'm 50 now. I was 32 at the time, I think. He asked me a question that I realize now has been my motivation through my entire life. And he said, what is the point of all this for you? Why do you want to write songs? Why do you want to make music, share it with people, tour, play shows, release records? And I thought about it, and I said to him, I don't really know exactly how to say it, but I know what I want it to look like. And he said, all right, let's start there. Tell me what you want it to look like. And I said, in my wildest dreams, our band would not have really fans, but instead friends. And that after the shows, we would go and we play a show, and that'd be great. But after the shows, we would hang out together 2, 3, 4, 5 hours into the night, having deep, deep heart communication, one with another. And as we played shows and repeated venues, as you do, touring around and stuff, then that group of people in that particular city would grow. And the family would get larger and larger and larger. And the impetus to create this environment would be just me sharing myself with my music. So he thought about it for a little bit, and he said, I think you need to start a church. Well, that to me was a terrible idea. I did not want to start my own church, and still don't want to start my own church. So If you're still with me, I appreciate it. Around my mid-30s, I had been at the music thing for about 20 years, since I was 16 or so. And I was just tired, and I was starting to grow a family, and I just ended up leaving it behind. A couple of years after that, what I did then was go into full-time music production, which I was doing on the side all that time, which is how I even became able to be a full-time engineer and mixer. I became a mix engineer, I became an audio engineer full-time instead of part-time, and just stopped trying to keep a band together and play shows and all that kind of stuff, because all that stuff led to a lot of time and energy invested in something that brought me negative money typically. And my focus was my family, taking care of my kids and my wife, And so that's what I did. I went full-time into audio production. It was at a weird time because it was in the aftermath of Napster and all of that, so the whole music industry was changing. I had moved to Tennessee in 2007 from California. I was born and raised in California. And the industry, I watched all the major studios that I had heard all these things about down Studio Row and all that in Nashville. All of them closed. I just watched all of them one by one close. And I watched budgets that used to be $500,000 a record go down to $100,000 a record. And as you can imagine, the independent artists who could scrape together 20 grand for a record, those budgets went down to 5,000 for everyone involved. So there was not a lot of money to be made, but it's what I knew how to do, right? It's what I knew to do. So I kept working in that. Often things were very tight financially. In any case, that led to video production, which is where I find myself now. I'm 50 years old. I have a full-time job working as a video producer for a local company here in town. Great company. I was a freelancer up to that point, all the way in my life. But now I've been an employee for the last 4 years. And that's been nice because it's dependable money. It's just not enough money. And never has been. I've never been a guy who has enough money. And that's why some of what we're going to talk about is you, me, and money, and the alignment of these things, whether or not you and I are in alignment. If you're still on board, I appreciate you. So here comes the biggest change in my life. It was in my late 30s, and I was standing. I used to bring my kids were little at the time. I used to bring them into the main service at my church with me, and I grew up and went to typical mega churches, modern churches. The church we were at then wasn't very large, but it was very modern. Nice production, lots of lights and good sound and a full band on stage, things like that. So I'm in the crowd, I'm in the congregation, and at this point I've been to hundreds and hundreds of shows, secular and Christian. I've had many, many bands. I've written hundreds of songs. Music was my wheelhouse. And because I had my kids with me, sometimes me or my wife would have to disconnect from what's going on in the service, take care of the kids, keep them occupied, get them drawing another picture or give them some candy, whatever we were going to do, as you do. And I went back from helping my son do something and came back to the worship service, which was already going on. They'd already done a few songs. And instead of re-engaging in the worship music, I just started to pay attention to what's going on around me. And I noticed all the things you'd expect, right? People getting visceral emotional reactions in their body because of experiencing this worship. Their hands are going up in the air. The song gets really big. They yell out, they cry out, and they're praising God. And then the band comes down and quiet, and they become introverted and introspective and rock around, eyes closed, right? Like there are musical devices that as a musician and songwriter and worship leader in my own right, had learned to use to evoke these emotions in people. That's what part of songwriting is you're trying to evoke emotions through the medium of music. And there are many musical devices. I don't want to get too technical for those who don't understand how music works, but like key changes and repetition of certain lines and different chord changes and the intensity of the music you create together, what instruments you use, all these kinds of things can affect the way the listener hears the music and what comes up in their mind and their heart while they're listening. And so as a worship leader, that's kind of what we do. A lot of times worship leaders will use songs that aren't their own, but make their own versions of it for the congregation that they serve. And the congregation will react accordingly. There's nothing wrong with any of what I'm talking about. But I stood there watching all this happen and I realized, as the worship leader on the stage that day was saying, oh, the Spirit is heavy in the room. There's such a movement of the Holy Spirit right now. Can you feel it? Yeah. Everyone's like, yeah. And I'm just standing there going, this looks no different. And honestly, it feels no different if I were involved in it. I wasn't at the time. I was just observing. But it feels no different than the Smashing Pumpkins or Depeche Mode or bands that I loved that I had gone to see who didn't create their music and focus it on God from the stage. They weren't necessarily trying to get you to worship God. Maybe in their own way they were, but what they were really doing was sharing their heart with you. And there was this communication, and yet the reactions are the same. Hands up in the air, people wiggling around, quiet, introspective quietness, all that kind of stuff, right? Because it's music. And music moves people. It's what music does. It's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it. But I didn't understand why this was called a movement of the Holy Spirit, and why when I was at the Pumpkins, I was taught that that was not. And in fact, there were some people who were teachers in my Christian faith that would say the Smashing Pumpkins are evil because they're not. I've learned a lot in that way, so bear with me. I'm just telling you where I was at the end of my 30s. I'm now 50. So I went on a quest to know God better. I said to the Lord that morning, will you please show me? Will you teach me what is a movement of your Spirit and what is not? Help me understand the differentiation between what's happening right here in front of me with these people at this church on a Sunday morning and what happened at the Pumpkins 93 at Lollapalooza, or U2 when I was 20 years old at Anaheim Stadium. Show me what the differences are. I've realized, this is just a hint, but I've realized there is no difference. But that's a different subject. Okay, here we go. So, it took me a long time to get where I'm at, and I'm about to share it with you. So, I went on this quest. So, I had a couple close Christian friends who I told this about. I want to find God on a deeper level. And they said, yeah, God's going to answer that. He's big enough to take that. Go down to the bare bones, man. Show yourself to me, Lord. I want to know you deeper. Of course, he wants that from you. He loves you. And this led to a few years long struggle. Because as I started to press into God, the Bible says, draw near to God and he'll draw near to you. Well, I started drawing near to God in this way, and I felt him pulling away. And for years, he got further and further and further. He was not going to show me what is a movement of the Spirit and what is not. And I felt my heart breaking as he was leaving me. And so I started to cry out to him and say, don't leave me. Don't leave me. The last 2 years, maybe a year and a half, the last year and a half of that battle before it ended was I would open the Bible crying every morning, and I would read scriptures to him that were promises he made me. One of the ones I remember the most as my heart was breaking is I would say to him, you told me you would leave the 99 sheep and come find the one lost sheep. I am that sheep. I'm crying. My life was being turned upside down by this. And yet he didn't come and find me. He was completely silent. At the time I was a father, as I said, and I pictured my son being in his room and me being in the room with him, and him in the corner with his fingers plugging his ears and his eyes shut going, Dad, I can't find you. I don't see you. Where are you? Why won't you come be with me? And I'm yelling out to him, I'm right here. I'm right here. And if he were to say, please come find me, tell me you're here, I would run over to him because I love him, right? I'd run over to him. I'd pull his hands out of his ears. I would open his eyes. I would hold him. I would lift him. I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you, and I love you. The Bible says if we can love our own children in that way, how much more so our Father? And yet, in those moments, I felt completely abandoned. So my heart was breaking. So I went on a journey after that. Well, okay, how it ended was, I remember the very last morning, I had spent hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours, countless mornings, doing this process, going through this process and watching my heart break more and more, feeling the slow tearing away of everything that I knew and him leaving me. And I finally said to him, I will not do this anymore. I can't do it anymore. I'm so tired and I'm so broken. I will do my best to remain open, but I don't know who you are. You're gone. I don't know what this means for me. but I'm giving up right now. And if you want me, I don't know what that looks like, but you're God. So if you want to come find me, come find me. But I'm done doing this. I can't do it anymore. And I had already gone through all the emotions you can imagine, anger and sadness and sorrow. I was just at the end. I was just empty. And I did not believe he would come for me, but I said to him, if you want to come for me, I will do my best to remain open and allow you to find me. This led to a decade of hell. My 40s were nothing but going through the motions. I don't know if you've seen the movie Click, but in Click, he has the ability to skip time. And during that time, his body remains in his life, but he skips to the next time, and it goes on what they call autopilot in the movie. That's how I felt like I was living. A lot of great things happened in my 40s. Good things for my kids happened. Sadly, my wife and I were completely disconnected. We became cohabitators and loved our kids, and we got along, but we weren't connected. And we had no sex for 10 years. And my life was just not what I wanted it to be. I took a lot of weird positions. I became an insurance salesman for a while. This was a bad idea. It was a terrible idea. It was not right for me. But I, all through my 40s, believed that what I can see, taste, touch, smell, or hear, those are the only things that are real. And that I have been delusional my entire life. I've been delusional. This is what I believed. I believed that my parents and their parents and all my family members, we are all deluded. We are all worshiping a being who doesn't exist. As you can imagine, being 5 years old and asking Jesus into your heart and building a life on top of that, my entire life was unraveling around me. Everything that I had ever understood or thought was real became completely unreal. For the first time in my entire life, I felt fully alone. There was no being who was omniscient and omnipotent and loved me, who could take care of me. It was just me. It was just this. That's all there is. I got to go make some shit happen. I got to figure it out. Because I am all alone, man. And I got 5 other people I'm tugging along with me at this point. 4 kids and a wife who are relying on me to figure this crap out. So I set to figuring it out. And I turned myself off and I just shut down and I started going. 10 years of hell. Complete and utter disastrous hell. Around the middle of my 49th year of living, I started to contemplate turning 50. I had never thought about turning 50 for some reason. Since I was a kid, I had thought about being 20, being 30, being 40, but for some reason, I hadn't really thought about being 50. In fact, I had even thought about being 60 because that's near retirement age in our country, or 70, or, my grandma was 80, and at the time I was thinking some of these things. I'm like, oh, what's it like to be 80? But I had never thought about 50. I don't know why, but it occurred to me that I never had. And so I began to contemplate that and look back over the last decade, my 40s. And I remember back in my 30s, I met a couple people who were sort of these father figures, mentor kind of guys. I didn't know them very long, but both of them had said every decade, they were in their late 50s at the time. And they said, every decade I've lived has gotten better. And I realized, holy crap, the 40s were my worst decade ever. It was the worst thing I had ever known. Like that existence, I cannot continue in that existence. So a couple things that you should know about me. One is I can get very focused. I'm a guy who is kind of all over the place and my mind is kind of scattered sometimes, but if I decide I can focus, I can really focus. And so I would go down these rabbit holes where I'd research strange, I loved conspiracy theories and things like that. Just loved to understand how the world works and stuff like that. And also, I am a systems guy. So I have a certain way I want to load the dishwasher. I got a certain way I want to do the laundry, for instance. And also in my own life, a certain morning routine that I'm constantly tweaking, though, all the systems that I have to try to be the most efficient or the most productive, to get the most out of them. I'm just one of those guys. I think that way. So I decided to put that mindset, the ability to focus, and being a guy who creates systems, into trying to change myself. I didn't know where to begin with this, but I ended up finding the rabbit hole of neuroplasticity. So for those who don't know, neuroplasticity is something we've realized is true in the mind. For decades, it was considered that once you're 7 years old or so, your brain can't be changed. And you're kind of just stuck with whatever had formed by that age. But now we realize you really can. You can change neural pathways and grow different pieces of your brain in different ways and become different things. And I thought maybe this is the answer to becoming someone new, because in my 40s, by the end of my 40s, I had grown to hate myself. I had a deep, deep hatred for myself. I did not like who I was. Nothing I did felt right. I felt completely powerless and alone. I felt the smallest I've ever felt. I can't say enough about how terrible this hell I was in was. It was very, very, very terrible. And God still hadn't revealed himself to me, and I had long given up that idea. I thought, oh, he doesn't exist. So I began to dig into neuroplasticity, and I found people who were talking about some of the teachings about how to retrain your mind. And this typically involves things like meditation and stuff like that, where you quiet your nervous system and your mind. You allow the thoughts to just be what they're going to be, but you stay to the side of them, and you just begin to implant in your subconscious the things that you want to accomplish. And you know what? I started seeing results. It was pretty dang cool. I started with behavioral changes, because I was the kind of guy who, because of my ability to focus, right, I would get so into work that if one of my kids came in and wanted something from me, I would sort of snap at them. And I began to be able to change that behavior by focusing on it. So when they came in, at first I would still do it, and they would kind of feel bad for bothering me. I was unapproachable. I focused on wanting to become approachable and implanting that in my mind. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep on that, but many, many changes occurred throughout 2024. I started this around the end of 2023. I turned 50 in April 2024. And during this time, it was literally a miracle, guys. If this isn't resonating with you, this video isn't for you. But if it is, I'm so glad to have you watching it and be able to have the opportunity to share myself with you. I appreciate you watching. In August, I finally had come to the point in my self-development and my self-love, learning how to love myself again, that I finally was like, okay, I have to make a change in my marriage. I'm very upset about my marriage. My marriage sucks. So I decided to go all out and be completely honest with my wife. I took her out to dinner, or maybe it was just coffee, I don't remember now. What I remember is the conversation at the end of the night. We went to a nearby park. We just hung out as the sun went down and talked. And I thought, if I'm fully honest with her about what I desire in our marriage, I won't get into the whole story of it. Maybe I will sometime, I'm fine to do that, but I thought I'm gonna reveal all of myself and tell her what I want our marriage to become, in no uncertain terms. And I thought, I'm risking, this is a 50-50 shot. She's either gonna wanna leave me, or she's gonna wanna heal. And either one didn't seem very awesome, because, I wanted to keep my marriage together, but it seemed like that would still be a hard road, you know? It would certainly be a hard road if she rejected me outright and was like, let's end the marriage. That would suck. But even the thought of staying together and healing, I thought, well, this is years of work, right? We're gonna have to get into couples therapy, something. It's gonna take time, right? Here's what I want you guys to understand. In August of last year, my marriage was healed in one 90-minute discussion. It was an absolute miracle. We came into that park, walking separately, kind of just being nice to each other. When we got along. We didn't fight. But when we left, before we left, we made out for 5 minutes, right there at the picnic table in this dark park. We walked hand in hand to my truck. We held hands all the way home. And we had sex for the first time in 10 years. This was nothing short of a miracle. When we woke the next day, My wife said, I can't believe how I feel right now. Our marriage is better than it has ever been. And I think our marriage was something that many of our friends looked at as an example of what's great. Oh, you want a good marriage? Watch Jeremy and Bonnie. Watch them. They will show you what a great marriage is. Our marriage was in shambles. And in an instant, it was healed. I'll tell the story another time, because the things that my wife and I both overcame during the conversation were things that many couples get stuck on for years and years trying to heal. And somehow, it was healed right then. It was the most miraculous thing I had ever experienced. And that's when it began, August of last year. That's when I really started to dig into my transformation. And I started to realize it starts with me. Holy crap. Because it always starts with you. That's a really important phrase to me. It starts with you. Everything does. But we'll get to that another time. So there I am now last year, and I keep growing, right? And I get this idea. I get really turned on because I'm digging into what I want. What do I want my life to look like? Who do I want to be in it, right? All these things. One of the things I come up against is, well, I think I've always had it in me to be an entrepreneur, and I was kind of hoping that's what my music career would lead to when I was being an artist, that I would end up having a business based around it. But I've never done it. I've never really stepped out and really I've owned my job, excuse me, as a freelancer. I owned my job, but I wanted to start a business because I want to be wealthy. Now that might have turned off somebody right now, and they might have clicked off. Good, then you are not in alignment. I want to be wealthy and rich. Not only do I want to be wealthy and rich, but I believe it is my destiny to be. I believe that that's where I'm supposed to go. And I believe that this was birthed in me because in January of this year, last year ended up being all about working on me. I wanted to start a business, didn't know what to do, looked into drop shipping and all the stuff you'd expect, watching it all around YouTube, trying to figure out how to start a business with no money. And it turned out I needed more work. That's the bottom line. I needed more work. But in January of this year, I was meditating as I had been consistently for over a year. And I came out of my meditation and I went, oh, shit. There you are. Thank you for showing yourself to me. Thank you for bringing me back to you. Thank you for leaving the 99 to come find the one lost sheep. Now, I'm not going to make any negative comments about Christianity as a religion. I'm going to explain to you my interpretation of how I experienced Christianity in my version of American Christianity. Everything is filtered through our own minds, right? Ourselves. We can't ever see anything that isn't just through our own lenses. So this is about me, not about Christianity. My God, at the time I lost him, felt like a really big being outside of myself. And he loved me and cared for me, and he was all powerful and all this stuff. And when he left me, I felt all alone. But through trying to change my brain, he snuck back in. In meditation, which I did almost daily for about a year and a half to the point in January, I realized, oh my gosh, it's you. The I am. The thing that is outside of my thoughts and feelings. The thing I've been focusing on, training my subconscious, maybe even my own subconscious. Holy crap, it's you. You left the 99 to get me. Tears. Thank you. And this God is so much bigger than the God I knew in my late 30s. This God, what does Jesus say? How could I never have seen it? I and the Father are one. One. We are the same. I am he and he is me. When God is asked in the Bible, who are you? I am the I am. Me. This is not a name and claim it idea. This is nothing like that. This has nothing to do with Christianity, all the different sects of Christianity and all that stuff that's come out. I don't want to start a church. I don't care about church. I care about what church really is. Connection to spirit, source, infinite intelligence. I don't care how you want to interact with it. It is in you. It is impossible to be separated from it. It is in you right now. You can ignore it if you want, and you can live through your 40s like I did as if it doesn't exist, but it doesn't matter. It does exist. It is inside of you. And I have such a passion, and always have. Remember my story about why do you do the music you do and all this stuff? Why do you do all that? Because I want a family. Because I want, as an old mentor of mine back in my 20s used to say to me, and I didn't understand it then, I want to know and be known. He used to tell me that is the point of life, to know and be known. And that's what I want. And that's why I've started this YouTube channel. And I've gotten caught up in the best way to do it, right? How do I make the best thumbnails? How do I title it the best? Dude, I'm a 50-year-old guy. I'm not old, but I just don't care. I don't care. In fact, I don't even care about editing the videos. What I care about is you and me, and in this video, money. Are we in alignment? More of you are clicking off, and it's okay. For those of you who are here, perhaps we are in alignment. That's who I'm looking for in this video. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So, along the way, trying to become an entrepreneur and figure out, where do I fit and everything. The truth of it is, I still don't feel like I fit anywhere in entrepreneurialism. Like, I work for a marketing company, and they are super good at what they do, and they really care about the businesses they work with. They are so loving, and their hearts are right. Everyone in the organization is amazing. Like, I could not have asked to work for a better company. Amazing company. But Dan Koe, you should look him up on YouTube, K-O-E, Dan Koe. I love this dude, man. He's a late 20s entrepreneur, millionaire, successful businesses, all this stuff. But one thing he said that I love is he said the only way out of selling someone else's product is to sell your own. I mean, he probably didn't make that up. It's probably some old business thing from 80 years ago. But it blew my mind when he said it. I was like, oh my gosh. Think of any job you would take. You're selling someone else's product. Doesn't matter what it is. That is crazy. So the problem I have with my current job is not that my job isn't great. It doesn't pay enough, but nothing ever has. That's been my life. Yet I'm destined for wealth. It's true. So here's what more if you clicked off. That's really funny. It's okay. If you're still here, you're here for a reason. And maybe this video will lead to nowhere. You're about to find out what the point of this why I'm doing it this way. So, so I really didn't want to sell someone else's product because I wanted to sell a product that mattered to me, right? Some people love the idea of owning their own store and they're selling other companies' goods to people for a profit, and they take pride in that and love that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with any of the models there are, right? It's all about the heart, right? If there's a store owner and he just loves to take care of his community, that's awesome, man. Or loves business. My boss loves business. Like, he loves business, yet he has a heart, which is why the company's so great to work for. But he definitely loves the game of business. I'm not that guy. I'm not in love with business. I'm in love with transformation of people, which is why I answered the story when the question was posed way back when I was 33 years old. Why do you do what you do? Why do you go through the trouble of writing songs? Why do you go through the trouble of playing shows? Why do you want to do all these things that cost you so much time, energy, and money? Because I love people. And I want to know and be known by them. It's also why it failed. Because it wasn't the best way. And I wasn't ready. So at that time in my life, I used to have get-togethers in my house, right? 20, 30 people come over, we hang out. At the end of the night, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, there are only a couple people left. And we're on the front porch, drinking whiskey and talking or something, Going deep, though. Those were my favorite moments of that time. When I first moved to Tennessee, those were my favorite moments. Being with my close friends and going deep. And a lot of my friends were about 10 years younger than me, just happened to be. So they were going through things that I'd already been through. Now, the thing about business is, especially in anything in self-development or transformation or anything like that, the idea is your best customer is you a couple years ago, or you before the transformation, right? So that makes sense to me. I've been through a couple transformations now, both as a husband in my marriage and just as a seeker. I found him again. And man, is he huge. And boy, does it fill me up. Like, it's crazy. So, because he's me. And he's you too. So here we go. My biggest blocks that I've had in my life, my biggest hurdles in my mind to overcome, they were deep, deep-seated money blocks. And I worked on a lot of those last year. A lot of them have come away. I think about blocks, or even our sight in this world, as at the optometrist, they got a bunch of lenses in front of you, right? I have hundreds and hundreds of ones that are seen through money problems, that money is no good. People who have money are bad people. Money won't change anything. Money gets to me and it never stays. Money is hard to earn, all this kind of stuff. I've gotten over a lot of those blocks as a byproduct of going through all this self-development. And that's what this video is about. Because I am, just like always, 50 years old, and I've always had this problem. 2 months behind in the mortgage. Lights almost got shut off last week, right? And what's interesting is it doesn't matter. Back in the days when I only made $4,000 a month, and now between me and my wife we make $7,000 a month, yet we still don't have enough. And it's not because we're going out to eat all the time. It's not because we're not shopping at Aldi. It's because that's how I see my life. It's because that's what I believed about money, because money is energy. So this is why we're going to talk about you, me, and money, and if we're in alignment. One thing I learned as well is that you have to create opportunities for abundance to come. You have to create in business opportunities for the money to come, which means you have to get the minimum viable product out, get the product out so people can start buying it, so you can get some influx of money into the business, or the business is about to die. Get the freaking product out, man. Whatever version you can, get the fastest version out that you think will sell, because your company has to stay alive. And I have struggled with what is the best product to make. And in the meantime, all the bills are not getting paid, right? Because I'm no longer door dashing 30 hours a week. That's what I had been doing, working 40 hours and door dashing 30 hours and making an extra $2,000 a month. Well, I stopped that in January to focus on this. And I still don't know what the product is. I don't know what to do. All I ever keep hearing is, you will be taken care of. You are on the right path. Don't stop. Don't stop. And I know it's right. I feel it's right. And if you're on this video and you're still watching, you are probably one of the people that's about to watch me get rich. Because that's where all of this is leading. And it's leading from such a beautiful place, a desire to know and be known. I now have the skills to take care of others. I now have the wisdom to help others get in contact with the divine. You don't have to feel alone. If you are like me and you left your religion and also ended up leaving your deity, you don't have to be afraid, because he's still there. Okay, however you want to interact with it is okay. It's still inside you. There is no separation from it. If you take nothing else away from this video, take that away. Okay, my phone just told me there's 15% left. I thought I was going to be cool because I have the battery case, but I'm using an external microphone and I can't plug in the battery case. So let's just finish this video. We're going on, whoa, my Lord, 38 minutes. I'm sorry it's so long, you guys, but I really appreciate all of you who are still here. At the very least, please give me a comment. I would love to start talking with people and start growing a community of people who are like-minded. I really desire that. I believe it is my future. I believe it's going to turn into some kind of business. What else is interesting? Just a little side note. My audio and video production training has led me to the point that I literally know how to create every single kind of digital product. So if I'm supposed to write a book and put it on print on demand, I know how to write one. If I'm supposed to give you free PDFs, I know how to do that. If I'm supposed to record a course, I know how to do it. If I'm supposed to make a movie, I know how to do it. The movie probably won't be very good, but I love cinema. In any case, I know how to make all these things that people are buying. If it needs to be a course that I sell and that's how the business begins, fine. But right now, this is what I'm doing. It's about you, me, and money, and if we are in alignment. If you do not resonate with this message, do not do anything with it. I mean that. Because I'm not about the money. I'm about my destiny. And money is just the last part that's about to show up because I'm scared of it. Because I have blocks about it. But God wants to give it to me through this because I have a heart to take care of so many people and love on them and let them glean wisdom from my bullshit that I've done and been through. So there are two things you can do. First of all, aside from those two things, you can comment and I'll talk back, and I would love that. But second of all, you can either click the first link, which is just going to take you to a page where you can give me money, where you believe in what I'm saying. Because just as I struggle with money, there are other people who struggle with the other things that I've transformed in, but they have a lot of money. Let's exchange that energy. I need the money, and I would love to go on and help those people. So if you're someone who would like my input and wants to meet up on like a call, like go book a call. That's the second link. So the second link is to go book a call. The first link is just to go and give me money. So if you are fine and you don't need my input, but you want to support what I'm trying to do, you want to watch my business grow, you can go click on that first link and it'll take you to a page where you can give me any amount of money you want. And if you'd like to be on the email list, that will be down there too. There's no one on it right now. The second link is to book a call with me. It'll be an hour-long Zoom call or something like that. I haven't got the Zoom stuff settled, but I'm about to go figure out how to do all that. I know how to do it, but I just don't have it set up yet. But it'll happen. If you want to book a call, you book the call, and we'll get together and we'll have heart-to-heart communication, and it'll be beautiful, and you will have supported me by buying that hour. I've heard that coaches are on their way out. This online coaching thing is over. Courses are over, and that the new thing is going to be guides. I don't necessarily feel comfortable calling myself a guide, but at the same time, I get what that means. Yes, I can meet you where you're at with whatever you're going through and probably give you worth your money. Because I understand people, and I am in such a good place energetically right now, and will remain here for the rest of my life, and I know it. It's crazy that I know it, but I do. This is what I came to do. Okay? So anyway, I really appreciate everyone who's watched this far. Please give me a comment, start conversations. I would love it. And go book a call with me. Send me some money because me and my family need it, whatever. I don't know what this business looks like yet, but I appreciate you watching all this time. And man, I love all of you. And I don't even know if anyone will ever see this, but any of you who do, I truly love you. That's how much love I have to give. My name is Jeremy Michael. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much.